Oh, so I say do buckaroos, and how the heck are you? Man, I'm sweating and I'm inside. I was trying to get this ready here. It took a little more effort than I had anticipated. I'm trying yet another version of a summer Manhattan. So this particular one, I used the Traveler whiskey and the Blanc or Bianco vermouth from Dolan, and then a couple drops of lemon bitters, and then I kind of torched the lemon peel to get those oils out. But also, I shook it with some fresh basil from our garden, and I'm using the purple ruffle basil as the garnish there. Didn't want to do basil smash per se, because I didn't want that highball. I wanted a coupe elegant drink, but I wanted kind of the same. I wanted to get the flavor from the basil, which is why I shook it. Then I put some foam on top. No, I didn't use any sweetener. Just curious, kind of as is, right? The Blanc Bianco vermouth will add a touch of sweetness, so I will tell you, some of you might want this drink a little sweeter than I do. But then again, if you're making a vermouth, other than a sweet vermouth, you're not adding any sweetener either. So I kind of wanted to more showcase the whiskey. I wanted a very much a whiskey-forward cocktail here. And I will probably change the whiskey, but I figured for the experimental cocktail, I'd go a little further down the food chain. But I would love to do this with one of my good ryes. Oh, gosh, that's nice. So I used the fee foam on this one, and the foam doesn't hold up quite as well as if I used an egg white. I will say that. But here's the however. By the time I got the cocktail ready, got it posed up there for pictures, it sat for a few minutes. So, but yeah, I would have liked to got just a tad more foam on there. But for the pictures, the foam looks nice. But it did. I have noticed that that fee foam it does dissipate a little quicker than actually using the egg white. However, here's your however, it doesn't affect the body of the drink as much, and that can be up to your preference, right? Sometimes that egg white will change the feel of it a little bit. Some like it, some don't. This doesn't. I like having the basil and that lemon. It really adds to the aromatics. I like the color too. Really been dinking around. I don't know that I'll find the perfect summer Manhattan before summer's gone, but I just like the idea. I love the idea of a Manhattan, but that sweet vermouth sometimes is a little heavy this time of year, so I keep trying to find different versions of. I haven't tried with using dry vermouth because I don't want the drink that dry, right? You've got to add a little bit of sweetness to that whiskey. And that's what the Blanc or Bianco vermouth adds, just a little bit of sweetness. But I might try one with the dry vermouth just to see, just to rule it out. You never know till you try, huh? I do like the gentian notes of the Blanc or Bianco vermouth, and I think that really blends well with the whiskey as well. So I did make two cocktails. I'm going to have this one with you first, and then I'll drink that second one with you. I'll jump off camera briefly. You won't know because I'll hit the stop button. Well, you'll know because I'll tell you, but I won't leave it run. I'll hit the stop, and I'll come back with the second one. Since we're not live. Although, if I'm being honest, I like doing the live videos because I love the raw nature, right? I don't do videos as polished as most. Well, as anybody, let's say. I like it pretty raw. Um, as far as if I'm referring to myself as a producer, I am to video what Nick Lowe was to rock and roll back in the day, right? There's a reason why they called Nick Lowe the Basher, because he liked that primitive sound. So it's kind of what I like to do too. I just want it very raw. So if I make mistakes, if I say something wrong, hey, it's there in the video. I don't edit anything out. I've never been about being polished. I'm more about being truthful, which seems to have been forgotten these days, but nevertheless. Nevertheless, man. Mercy. I do like this car. I do like this version of. I am curious to try it with a different whiskey though, just to see using a rye, for instance, or a bourbon. Um, More distinctive. This is a very nice whiskey, don't get me wrong. But maybe a bolder, maybe higher proof. But I wanted to use this whiskey kind of as my my tester here, if you will. So I'll keep tinkering around with ideas. I do like the way this one tastes, though. I like the lemon bitters in there. And I considered adding something else, and I said, no, I just want to keep this one simple. Someone was asking about our cocktail menu at work yesterday. And they were talking about some different ones. I said, everything that looks complicated, I don't want to mention their name on camera in case they don't want to be known, but all the complicated drinks are from our younger bartender. Anything with 3 ingredients is mine. And they laughed because I thought it was fun. Anyway, but yeah, that's there are some exceptions, but for the most part, that's real. I stay very true to the classics. Or let me take that back. I use the classics as a template. I take a few liberties here and there, just again like this. I'm taking the idea of a Manhattan and taking it to a slightly different place, which is really what I like to do. I love working with a Manhattan, an old fashioned, a martini, and just doing different versions of it. But when I say martini, I mean martini. I'm not talking about fancy martinis, because those aren't really martinis, right? They're just a martini in name. But closer to the truth probably would have been to say, of course, there are, again, a couple exceptions. I would say anything more spirit forward is mine, but she's got a couple that are spirit forward too. So that wouldn't be true either. But that is my thing, is I really love the spirit forward cocktail. And I like to keep it simple. I mean, I kind of cook the same way. I think anybody learning to cook, especially when you start watching shows and learning from chefs, you start to make things more complicated, right up until the point where you learn the techniques and you realize it doesn't need to be that complicated to taste good. And that's where I am with cocktails at this juncture. I want, I don't need to add 100 ingredients. I want a very specific taste, so I'm not going to add a lot of ingredients. It's hot in this living room for some reason. I'm sweating my dingle hammer off here. Got the fan up. I'm sitting here sweating still. All right, well, let me finish up this cocktail because I got one more to bring to you. I'm taking a little bit longer than I anticipated. Let me move that move the garnish because it makes it harder to drink, but it looks pretty. Anyways, let's launch it. I shall return with cocktail number 2. All right, back with cocktail number 2, and this one I like to call not a mint julep. I'll come up with a clever name later. But so I had an idea. I wanted a bourbon cocktail with mint. I didn't necessarily want to do a julep. I didn't want a highball style cocktail. I wanted more of a, elegant coupe cocktail, but I wanted to keep it similar, right? So here's what I did here. I used that Walcott bourbon up there, and I'll bring it down later and talk more about it. But rather than adding a mint simple or some sugar to the mint, I decided to add some creme de menthe. So I've got 2 ounces of the whiskey, 1 ounce of creme de menthe. I shook it with some mint that we had in the garden, and I've kind of garnished it with some mint here as well, as you can see. And I dropped a cherry in because I think a cherry belongs in every cocktail. Just for fun. And a lemon peel. Oh, okay, that was the other thing I did different here, is I added mint bitters, but I also added lemon bitters, trying to, again, kind of make a very much a summer cocktail. So let's have a drink and we'll see what we got here. I haven't tasted this one yet. This is the first time I've ever made this cocktail. Oh my God, that's delicious. Wow. In fact, if I do it again, I will probably go 2.5 ounces of bourbon, 1/2 ounce creme de menthe. But since I was using this Walcott, which is a big bourbon, I went with the full ounce so I could really feel the mint. But I don't know that I need as much mint or sweetness. But yeah, it was kind of the idea. I wanted something similar to a mint julep, but not, right? I wanted to get those flavors, but I didn't want a highball cocktail, and I didn't want to add a simple syrup or sugar to it. Let me set this down a second, and I will find that room here. So this was one of my birthday whiskeys from Levi and Ann. This is a Walcott, specially bottled at an elevated proof, authentic Kentucky-made bourbon. This is a Rickhouse Reserve, distilled by Barton, 1792, Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. This one is at 120 proof. Which is why at that 120, which is why I added the 2 ounces and a 4 ounce of the mint, because it was a big bourbon. But for my taste, I think I'll make it a little bit different next time. Kind of a surprising one. I really like this one a lot. It's done very well. I love those mint notes combining with that big bourbon. But again, I'm gonna tune the mint down next time. I wanted to use the fresh mint garnish to really bring out the aromatics, but then I also wanted to use some of my mint bitters. But to brighten it up, which is why I went with the lemon peel that I kind of torched to bring out those oils, and then some lemon bitters. So I used both lemon and mint bitters. Boy, that's a nice drink, though. That really is. Wow. I might have to recreate something like that at work. That's tasty. I will tell you, I'm going through this phase right now where every cocktail I come up with is in a coupe, right? I'm trying to avoid the highball. I'm trying to avoid a lot of ice. And I just love a cocktail like this. Although in this summer, people do want that highball. They want that ice in the drink. So did make a handful of Collins yesterday, both vodka and Tom, and I did a blueberry version of a Collins, which turned out very nice as well. But boy, I do like this. This is very nice. It's tasty. It's elegant, but it's also very refreshing. So a drink like this, you do want to get a very good chill on it. So not only do you want to chill your cocktail properly, but you want to have your coupe chilled beforehand. Now most bars will, as the drink is being ordered, or they will take that coupe, put some ice in it, some water, and just let that get cold while you prepare the ingredients. At home, a little bit before I know I'm going to make a cocktail, I just put the glasses in the freezer, get a good chill on them. You don't necessarily need a cocktail like this to stay ice cold from start to finish. But if you get a good chill on it, even if this takes you 20 minutes to drink, it's still going to have a chill on it at the end. And that's what you want. You don't want it to get all the way up to room temp, right? But if it gets up to about 50, 55, you're okay. But start it as cold as possible. And that just becomes about proper technique. I didn't typically order cocktails when I go out until I started, really becoming a full-time bartender. But when we went on vacation last year, I had to make a point of trying one cocktail everywhere I went, and some I stayed within my wheelhouse, trying their version of an old-fashioned or a Manhattan. And some I tried to get out of the box a little bit, but not too much, because I don't like big, sweet, fruity drinks. So I didn't go, too far out. But if they're doing a slightly different version of a classic like I do, so let me see what you got here. So we were, as I do this video, I'm about a week away from vacation, so I'm curious to where we're going to try their spin on some of this. Because I've looked at the cocktail menus online, so okay, that looks interesting. That's a little bit different than what I do. That's similar, but I see what you're doing here, so I am curious. And a lot of times it's just about the liquor being used. I'm going to one distillery, and I've had a lot of their products in the past, but there's still a lot that I haven't had. So I'm real curious about what they're doing. And they're certainly known for their whiskeys, but they also make a lot of vodkas and flavored vodkas and a handful of liqueurs as well. So I'm really curious about how they incorporate them into their drinks. Oh, good guy. Man, that's nice. That's really nice. That's just a nice drink. I've been doing some various AI renderings of some pictures I've taken, and one of them, the shirt I was wearing had some designs on it. It wasn't a clear picture, but when the AI rendering came back, it had dinosaurs on it. So my wife said, did they put dinosaurs on it because they think you're that old? So that could be. Wait a minute now. The AI thing interests me because you would think they would have the ability to be perfect, but I don't know what the rules are, but I've noticed that they can't do the same thing twice. So if you ask for a certain picture and it comes back a certain way, pretty close, but there's just something off from what you wanted, you can, say, well, I like this, but can you take that out or add this or whatever you want to do? Even though it's based on that same picture, the rendering comes out quite different. So that their interpretation of the picture, they can't seem to do, or I don't know if they're unable to, or how, I don't know. But they can't do the same picture twice, which I find interesting. Because if I want a picture, I got that, okay, this is perfect, but I just need you to add this or take out this in the background. And the main picture comes out completely different, even though the base picture, they're getting the rendering from the same base picture. I don't know how that works. I don't know what the rules are. I don't know if it's that Isaac Asimov kind of thing. I don't know. I don't know what the AI rules are. And that in spelling, and you would think that AI wouldn't make spelling errors, but it does. And that kind of, how does that happen? I don't know if there's some copyright things going on again. I don't know, but when a picture comes back with spelling errors, I'm thinking, how do you not know how to spell that? You got the access to everything, right? That throws me off with it. Spelling errors. How the hell? How the hell can you not spell that word correctly? But anyway, hell, I don't know. But I digress. So again, this is the definitely not a mint julep cocktail. I think that's the name I'm going with. It's definitely not a julep. But it is rather similar. So anyways, I'm Tom the Whiskey Whisperer, Whiskey Evangelist, prolific whiskey drinker, purveyor of wisdom, and gosh, that is tasty though. All around good guy, sláinte.